I'm Chris and I work here at Staunton Farm, part of Hampshire County Council's Countryside service, and we're exploring hidden histories. There's literally thousands of years of history here, dating back to the Neolithic period, the Roman Empire. Artifacts have been found, and in the last 200-300 years, owners such as Higgins and Samuel Harrison, and indeed William Garrett, who did an awful lot of development here at the park, and of course Sir George Thomas Staunton. Okay, the building behind me is the main Staunton Farm Visitor Centre, and that dates from between 1792 to 1794, and there's owners Francis Higgins and Samuel Harrison. You can see the distinctive arches denoting a coach house. William Garrett was quite chief amongst the owners here at the park. He purchased the estate in 1800 and was responsible for rebuilding the main Lee Mansion house. William Garrett was quite a prominent member of the local community. He made Royal Naval officers' uniforms in the dockyard in Portsmouth. He also created a lot of the gardens, and he embellished those with various follies and what we call the ferme ornée, which is ornamental farm. And to this day, the park is a Grade 2 listed site under English Heritage. So right now, please follow me and we're going to visit the wall garden and the tropical glasshouses. Here we are in the wonderful wall garden. There's been a wall garden here from at least 1780, and the glasshouses range behind me was undoubtedly part of William Garrett's horticultural enterprises, but it was significantly enhanced and enlarged by Sir George Thomas Staunton. This happened in 1845 with the main rectangular rainforest zone, the stove house, and then the structure directly behind me, the octagonal structure, is the tropical Amazon lily house built by Sir George Staunton in 1851-1852, flowering the Amazon lily on the 28th of August 1853. Here we are in the tropical Amazon lily house. This was created by George Staunton, but Staunton was very much an avid botanist and horticulturist. He was very well connected, and he obtained his first plant from the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew. He obtained the plant around May the 20th, and it was his learned head gardener Alexander Scott which first successfully flowered the Amazon lily in this very pool on the 28th of August 1853. The plant next to me here is amongst many of the tropical palm trees. This one's a bit more interesting as it's connected to Sir George Thomas Staunton. When he was a young boy on the very first trade embassy between Britain and China, he learned Mandarin, and the Chinese emperor got to hear this, and the young boy was asked to be presented before the Chinese emperor, and he said a greeting in Chinese, and due to that fact the Chinese emperor gave the young boy Staunton his personal golden silk purse, and inside that purse was the fruiting nuts of this particular palm tree, which we still grow in the same location here today. There's a huge connection between Hampshire, this part of Hampshire, here at Staunton Farm, and our national beverage, the humble cup of tea. It was Staunton's father, Sir George Leonard Staunton, which first wrote back to Sir Joseph Banks, the director of Kew Gardens, mentioning the Chinese secrets of growing tea. And there's a tea today marketed called the Staunton Earl Grey. But the story is also embellished by the fact that tea was grown in this very glass house by Sir George Staunton's amazing head gardener Alexander Scott, and with Staunton being employed by the East India Company in China, in Canton, the word got around, and it was the East India tea inspectors from China which came to Staunton's estate here and this glasshouse which we're in right now to discover the secrets of growing tea. Here we are in the grounds of Staunton Farm, and the plant here is a special plant really, in part of the collections, which is named in honour of the Staunton family, and it's a Chinese climber. It's a very, very vigorous vine. As you can see, it needs mature trees to gain a support. Here we are, just at the beginnings of another historic area called Front Lawn, and the area where the trees and the lawn was the first house, the very first house, which William Garrett had rebuilt in 1801 by the architect John Kent. Staunton purchased this house in 1819, residing in 1820, and he was here until he passed away in 1859. But in 1832, he added the structure behind me, which is the Gothic Library, built to house Staunton's personal collection of 3,000 Chinese books he obtained while in employment of the East India Company in Canton. He never married, and the whole historic estate was passed to his relatives in Ireland. And sadly, within 6 months of inheriting the historic estate, the male descendant also died. And it was then that William Stone made the purchase in 1860 of the entire estate and the landscape. And he decided to build what we now know as the second mansion within Staunton Country Park. And within 1865, 1866, William Stone demolished the original Regency Mansion house, leaving standing Staunton's Gothic Library. So in a few moments, we're going to leave this area where the first historic house used to stand, and we're going to go into the Ferme Ornée, the ornamental farm, and discover some other historic buildings which are part of the fabric of the estate. Here we are in the middle of the Ferme Ornée, the ornamental farm, the centre of the courtyard, and behind me the large building is a dedicated children's play area, the Gothic play barn. In the centre of the farm, the main farm courtyard, and the white building just behind me is part of that historic farm. Originally it was a bailiff's house and produced the bread for the estate, accommodation for farms, staff, etc. And as you can see today, it's the Staunton Farm tea rooms, doing a whole range of menus and scrumptious snacks for you to enjoy, and also enjoy a nice cup of tea or coffee, thinking of the connections with China and Sir George Thomas Staunton. Here we are almost at the end of our visit to the historic landscape, which is Staunton Farm, and the building behind me is a further piece of history. It's our local farm shop. It's on the footprint of Alexander Scott, one of Staunton's first head gardeners, Sylvester Cottage, built in 1836, and the farm shop is very much worth visiting as it specialises in Hampshire produce and local fare. Hopefully you've enjoyed this hidden history visit, and I would encourage you to give us a thumbs up and a like, and to keep your eyes open to more hidden histories in the near future.